पूर्वदिष्टं हि तस्य तत्। थैंक यू माता जी। हरे कृष्ण।
थैंक यू कृष्ण। चित्रमोहिनी माता जी, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, प्रणाम माता जी।
प्रणाम।
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। चित्रकेतुरुवाच प्रतिगृह्णामि ते शापम् आत्मनोऽञ्जलि नाम्बिके आत्मनो अञ्जलिनाम्बिके दैवैर्मर्त्याय यत् प्रोक्तं पूर्वदिष्टम् ईतस्य तत्। हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
थैंक यू उषा भट्ट माता जी। उषा भट्ट माता जी, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण माताजी, प्रणाम माताजी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। चित्रकेतुर्वाच प्रतिगृह्णामि ते शापम् आत्मनो अञ्जलीनाम्बिके देवैर्मर्त्याय यत् प्रोक्तं पूर्वदिष्टं हि तस्य तत्। थैंक यू माताजी। हरे कृष्ण।
कृष्णा, थैंक यू। रेवती रत्नांगी माता जी, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, प्रणाम माता जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। चित्रकेतुर्वाच प्रतिगृह्णामि ते शापम् आत्मनो अञ्जलिनाम्बिके देवर्मर्त्याय यत् प्रोक्तं पूर्वदिष्टं हि तस्य तत्। हरे कृष्ण माता जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू। प्राणनंदिनी माधवी माता जी, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, प्रणाम माता जी। प्रकृतिवाच प्रतिगृह्णामि ते शापम् आत्मनो अञ्जलिना अम्बिके वीर्मर्त्य यत् प्रोक्तं पूर्वदिष्टं तस्य तत्। हरे कृष्ण माता जी, थैंक यू माता जी।
थैंक यू। विजय कुमारी माता जी, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, धनप्रदान माता जी। चित्रकेतुर्वाच प्रत्यक्ष्यामि सेदाभम् आत्मनो अञ्जलिनाम्बिके देवर्मत्याय यत् प्रक्तम् पूर्वदिष्टं हि तस्य दत्। थैंक यू माता जी।
हरे कृष्णा। शुभा राव प्रभु जी, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। चित्रकेतुर्वाच प्रतिगृह्णामि ते शापम् आत्मनोऽञ्जलिनाम्बिके देवैर्मर्त्याय यत् प्रोक्तं पूर्वदिष्टं हि तस्य तत्। हरे कृष्ण।
थैंक यू है कृष्णा। सूर्य प्रकाश राव प्रभु जी, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
प्रणाम।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। चित्रकेतुवाच प्रतिगृह्णामि ते शापम् आत्मनो अञ्जलिका अम्बिका अम्बिके देवै देवै मत्याय यत् यत् प्रोक्तं पूर्वदिष्टं हि तस्य यत् तत्।
थैंक यू है कृष्णा। मधुमती विलासनी माता जी, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम माता जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। चित्रकेतु उवाच प्रतिगृहामि ते शापम् आत्मनो अञ्जलिनाम्बिके दैवैर्मत्यार्य प्रयत्प्रोक्तं पूर्वदृष्टिं हि तस्य तत्। थैंक यू माता जी। हरे कृष्ण।
थैंक यू कृष्णा। प्रेम प्रकाश हरिदास प्रभु, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम माता जी।
प्रणाम।
चित्रकेतु उवाच प्रतिगुह्यामि ते शापम् आत्मनो अञ्जलीनाम्बिके दैवेर्म्यात्यर प्रत्युक्तं पूर्वदृष्टिं हि तस्य तत्। हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
थैंक यू है कृष्णा। चित्रकेतुर उवाचा चित्रकेतु उवाच King Chitraketu said, Pratigrinami, I accept te your Shapam curse. Atmanaha, my own. Anjalina, with folded hands. Ambike, O mother. Deve, by the demigods. Martyaye, unto a mortal. Yat, which Proktam prescribed. Purvadishtam, fixed previously according to one's past deeds. He indeed, Tasya of him, Tat that. Translation by Shri Prabhupada. Shabad ki jai. Chitraketu said, My dear mother, with my folded hands, with my own hands folded together, I accept the curse upon me. I do not mind the curse, for happiness and distress are given by the demigods as a result of one's past deeds. Puppet by Shri Prabhupada. Shabad ki jai. Since Chitraketu was a devotee of the Lord, he was not at all disturbed by the curse of Mother Parvati. He knew very well that one suffers or enjoys the results of one's past deeds as ordained by Devanitra, superior authority, or the agents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knew that he had not committed any offense at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva or the goddess Parvati, yet he had been punished. And this means that the punishment had been ordained. Thus the king did not mind it. A devotee is naturally so humble and meek that he accepts any condition of life as a blessing from the Lord. Tatte anukampam sushumikshamanaha. Bhagavatam 10th canto 14th chapter verse 8. A devotee always accepts punishment from anyone as the mercy of the Lord. If one lives in this conception of life, he sees whatever reverses occur to be due to his past misdeeds, and therefore he never accuses anyone. On the contrary, he becomes increasingly attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because of his being purified by his suffering. Suffering, therefore, is also a process of purification. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in this connection that one who has developed Krishna consciousness and who exists in love with Krishna is no longer subject to suffering and happiness under the laws of karma. Indeed, he is beyond karma. The Brahma Samhita says, Karmani nirdhati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. A devotee is free from the reactions of his karma because he has taken to devotional service. This same principle is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14th chapter verse 26. Sagunan samatityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who is engaged in devotional service has already been freed from the reactions of his material karma, and thus he immediately becomes Brahma Bhuta or transcendental. This is also expressed in Srimad Bhagavatam 1st canto 2nd chapter verse 21. Kshiyanti chasya karmani. Therefore, attaining the stage of love, one becomes free from all the results of karma. Before attaining the stage of love, one becomes free from all the results of karma. The Lord is very kind and affectionate towards his devotees, and therefore a devotee in any condition is not subjected to the results of karma. A devotee never aspires for the heavenly planets. The heavenly planets, liberation, and hell are not different for a devotee, for he does not discriminate between different positions in the material world. A devotee is always eager to return home back to Godhead and remain there as the Lord's associate. The ambition becomes increasingly fervent in his heart, and therefore he does not care for material changes in his life. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that Maharaj Chitraketu's being cursed by Parvati should be considered the mercy of the Lord. The Lord wanted Chitraketu to return to Godhead as soon as possible, and therefore he terminated all the reactions of his past deeds. Acting through the heart of Parvati, the Lord who is situated in everyone's heart cursed Chitraketu in order to end all his material reactions. Thus Chitraketu became Vritsasura in his next life and returned home back to Godhead. Magyāntimirandasya Gyan Anjan Shalakaya Chakshir Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadabhayyam Tadati Sapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenbandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kaltha Paragartha Namastute. Taptakanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanuste Devi Pranamami Haripriya. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंदा. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. नमामि विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामने. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. Shri Sukadev Goswami continued, My dear King Parikshit, when Chitraketu was cursed by Parvati, he descended from his airplane, bowed before her with great humility, and pleased her completely. Chitraketu said, My dear mother, with my own hands folded together, I accept the curse upon me. I do not mind the curse, for happiness and distress are given by the demigods as a result of one's past deeds. Okay, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, very difficult topic. 6th canto, prescribed duties for the mankind. Chapter 17, which is called as
Mother
Mother
Parvati.
Parvati versus
Chitraketu.
Yeah, Mother Parvati has cursed Chitraketu now to take birth in the demoniac family, low family, so that he does not feel himself superior to other devotees and start giving them instructions about how to mend their own behavior. Okay, that's Mother Parvati's part. There is always an external thing that's going on in the scriptures, and there's always an internal story that's going on. Externally is what is going on, is what I told you. Internally, what is going on is Krishna is acting through the heart of Mother Parvati and is encouraging her to curse Chitraketu. That's internal story. Why? Because Krishna wants Chitraketu to come back to him ASAP. And the only way to end all his karmic reaction is this. Now, the question can be raised that because he got darshan of the Lord, the karmic reactions were nullified. So what kind of karmic reactions are we talking about now? You know, it says, Prabhupada says, no, that nullified in order to end all his material reactions. Lord cursed Chitraketu. But he already saw Lord, so his karmic reactions were nullified. So what does this mean? How do we understand this? Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji.
Okay.
After
Okay.
getting the darshan of Lord, we was popped off, Mataji. That was the karmic reaction.
Oh, you mean that when he was
In the post.
instructing Lord Shiva because he was proud of his ability to have gotten the darshan of the Lord?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, that's one way of looking at it. Yes, that Krishna wanted 100% purification. You see, when we recite this verse, before we recite Srimad Bhagavatam, what is it called? Tell me again. Om Namo Bhagavate Nashtaprayashu Bhadreshu. Yeah, which verse is it in Srimad Bhagavatam? Tell me, I'll bring up the translation. Nashtaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamash
1.2.18 Mataji. 1.2.18.
1 to 18. Uh-oh.
1.2.18.
Yeah, so let's read the translation. Thank you. So, by regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So it says it is almost completely destroyed. Okay, so that means that it's not 100% gone. But to go to Krishna, the more purification is needed. And that Krishna does his part then, right? We have done our part. The devotee's attempt has led to the invocation of the mercy and grace. So almost completely destroyed, but Krishna removes the last bit. This is very well explained in Isopnishad, right? That the devotee is praying towards the end of life, that when I forget you, please make your face visible. Please don't forget me, even if I forget you. So this is what it means, that we have to be 100% purified. And if after attaining Prema Bhakti, first of all, it is not the karmic reaction, because it has been explained in the verse, in the paragraph before that whatever happiness and distress is coming in the life of a devotee is no longer subjected to sufferings and happiness under the laws of karma. Indeed, he is beyond karma. Karmani nirdhati kintu cha bhakti bhajan. Because of him taken to the principles of devotional service, there is no karma. Okay, karma means that it's an automatic switch. And so how do we explain? Like, we have, the washing machine. You program the washing machine, put the clothes, and then fix the load size, fix the water temperature, right? And then nowadays they're like AI washing machines. They decide on their own what the washing machine has a brain on its own. But still, there are like washing machines which like you fix the load size, fix the water temperature, and then fix the time for which the machine will run, and then you turn it on, and then it starts. Yes, yes or no?
Yes, Mataji.
That's karma. You know, that's how, because okay, well, I have taken birth, I have not taken to Krishna consciousness. I am going to get some sort of happiness and distress based on what I have done in the past. And whatever I'm doing right now is making my next life ready. Automatic. But here Krishna is actively involved. Right? He's actively involved. How do we say that? How do we see that Krishna is actively involved? Because of Chitraketu's surrender. You know, he's surrendering. He is saying this all is happening to me because of the things that has been brought forward to my because of my past deed. So I am going to remain fixed in my Krishna consciousness, no matter what situation I go to next. So this particular consciousness itself shows that this is not a karmic reaction. Because when it is a karmic reaction, one is not intelligent enough to think about that how am I going to become more Krishna conscious in this reaction. Okay, now that is a pure devotee. In a devotee who is not pure, they can also develop this intelligence that, okay, because of my karma, I've taken birth in a very rich family or very poverty-stricken family. That's karma, you know, that's karma, right? I've taken birth in a rich family or a poverty-stricken family. Somehow or other, I've come in contact with the devotees. Now let me make my life perfect. So that also is like refuting the effects of karma. We don't get impacted. Okay, we are not trying to adjust our life. Yes, we are not trying to make ourselves consciously uncomfortable also, but we're not trying to make so many adjustments knowing well that this place is not permanent. There's a natural bit of detachment that happens, like people are building for example, somebody is building a very extravagant house with lots of work inside, like lots of amenities and lots of protection. Like, you know, my house is going to be earthquake proof for this Richter magnitude. My house is going to be proof from the thunder, or my house is going to be proof from the snow or from tornado. Right? I'm just putting all these efforts. I'm not saying don't put, if there are so many dangers where you're building the house, first of all, the question is, why are you building the house over there? Why can't you move to somewhere where there's, you know, less of all this? But even if somebody is building and then they're putting all these efforts, means that the concept is that I'm going to live here forever. I'm not saying we leave our houses on the thatched roof. I'm not saying that. But the point I'm trying to say is that where is our effort mostly placed? Where are we actually trying to stay longer or go further? Is very obvious in our activities right now also. It's very obvious. We can look at our activities from the minute we wake up until the minute we take rest, that where is my consciousness mostly placed? Krishna makes it very clear for a devotee. And how enthusiastic I am to chant Hare Krishna, or to go to my deities, or to cook, or actually look up everything around me as a service to Supreme Personality of Godhead. How enthusiastic am I to preach Krishna consciousness to whoever is coming in my way in a very palatable manner. Okay, so but a devotee will accept everything as the coming from the loving hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How? Because they will always try to become more Krishna conscious. That is the only marker that I am able to understand, that how a devotee is accepting the reverses and also the happiness that comes along. Both. Because both can be distracting. You know, both can be distracting. I'm not saying that there is no need to develop or you know, refute the natural affection one has for one's family. But to get so much absorbed is something that one has to guard against. Okay, it's not like, okay, I'm working, I'm mending money, and I'm working very hard, 20 hours out of 24 hours to feed my family. That is a karmi mentality. Just, we can still work 20 hours out of 24 hours, but to become more Krishna conscious. So the superior authority is dictating, the administration is given to the demigods to guide our virtue of karma, loss or gain, whatever we are going through. We are going to go through that. There is no one who is exempt. Nobody. No living entity is exempt from that. Actually, even the living entities in the heavenly planets are also not exempt from that. Nobody is exempt. The sages, the karma is so powerful that we have examples where the sages also have to face the effect of their karma. Right? Like here we are seeing that if you understand, for the sake of discussion, that Chitraketu is getting cursed for the sake of discussion, that this is because of his own karma. The only difference is whether is going to be in my response, which will define whether I am a devotee or a non-devotee, or which direction is this life up and down is going to take me. So we have to become very introspective. It's a very nice instruction that, going even for the sake of healing from the past trauma. So there is so many, in psychological world, there's so many therapeutic modalities to heal from what has happened in one's life from the past. Like I'll give you one example, like all these, invariably, all the people who have worked in a military and have gone to a war eventually suffer from something called PTSD, like post-traumatic stress disorder. So there's so many psychologists who work on, healing process for these people from PTSD. But the war is over, right? It was many years ago, they went, but they're still carrying that, right? And then now there is a help being developed that how do we actually help them to re-narrate the whole story that they have been telling themselves, which is causing them to suffer. There's so many modalities. There is, yes, there is a talk therapy, but then there is something called EMDR, where they do kind of particular kind of eye movements to process the brain, to rewire the narration that one is telling. There is something called family constellation, where they recreate the scenario and then help the person to see that what is it that's blocking them to go further in life, or what is it that's causing them to become chronically ill and depressed. Right, these processes are wonderful, they work wonderfully, okay, but then they don't solve the ultimate problem. They always fall short. What will really solve the ultimate thing is that to become Krishna conscious, to see Krishna's hand in whatever happened in my life, to go back and visit, like think of the most traumatic experience you have had in your life, and think that how that traumatic experience reshaped the trajectory of your life. But now put like, okay, now because you have Krishna consciousness, how is that helping you? How do you see the hand of Krishna in that particular scenario with what happened to you? Which was missing before. Okay, which was missing before. There is a lot of research in America which is going on right now for trauma that actually, they are saying it starts even in the womb of the mother. The mother is going through trauma when she's carrying the baby, the child suffers. So they are actually studying the neurobiology, biological changes because of traumatic experience in utero. See, they're going so deep, so deep, so deep. They're going, going, going. But then I always feel that isn't it so like revolutionary to help this particular living entity to go back and revisit the scenario of the life and put Krishna there and see that how, Krishna's hand was there. and how it has shaped my life now. There's always going to be a devotee of Krishna will always be able to see Krishna's hand. Always. Okay, that will really help if we can inculcate this in a holistic medicine, because ultimately these people are also trying to help other person, right? But they are only able to help at their level. But if we who are preaching Krishna consciousness, who are trying to become Krishna conscious ourselves, can bring and add this particular element in their life, it will be so wonderful. Okay, and Krishna will be so pleased that you brought this soul to me. So it is a responsibility on each one of us actually to do this. Somehow or other in your classes, somehow or other in your preaching, bring it up. That's why there's so workshops are always successful. The workshop model is always successful in preaching. I've seen it time and again for years now. Any kind of background. I have seen it in India, I've seen it in UK, I've seen it in America, I've seen it in Germany. It's always successful. Because people are able to, personalize the practice of Krishna consciousness in their own life. They are able to appreciate that why am I trying to be Krishna conscious after all. Otherwise, it's like there are general principles which are common to each one of us. Each one of us are supposed to be chanting minimum 16 rounds a day. Each one of us are supposed to be following 4 regulative principles. Each one of us are supposed to be reading Bhagavad Gita or Prabhupada books. That each one of us are supposed to be trying to be Krishna conscious. But when you bring these scenarios, when you bring the preaching on the table in this circle, it becomes so personal that, okay, now it makes sense that why Krishna consciousness is so powerful practice. It's a so powerful practice. Now it makes sense. Okay, so it makes us become more deep and more anchored in our practice of Krishna consciousness. And the more deep we become, the more anchored we become, the more we rise more in our consciousness. And when we rise more, then we can help others more. Okay, we can only help others if we have helped ourselves. I think I'll stop here. So it's karma, not karma. Ultimately, what differentiates is what is my response to it. How am I taking it? Questions, reflections, relations, corrections?